It's Social Pulse Weekly, brought to you by Agorapulse. Discussing this week's hottest topics and latest developments in social media marketing. With your host, Jennifer Watson. Here's Social Pulse Weekly.
Hey everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Social Pulse Weekly. I cannot believe it's March, and for many of us, we've got those feelings of it's been basically a year since things have started shutting down, especially in the United States. But you know what? We did it. We made it. And actually, it was right around this time when everyone was transitioning. We were leaving social media marketing world, if you were there, which is one of the biggest conferences in the world for marketing and social media. And many of us were trying to refigure and figure out what we were going to do for our strategy moving forward with everything shutting down. But you know what? We did it. We made it. It is March 2021, and I'm so excited. We took a week off last week due to the fact that we did have our amazing virtual summit. But now we have that summit-like vibe and theme still going because we have an amazing guest today. But before we get to our incredible guest, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone there. Welcome everyone in. Let us know who you are, where you're watching us from, and a big achievement that you accomplished so far this year. I want to know what you have succeeded in and what skills you learned. Have you read a new book? Let us know and please share with us. With that said, I'm going to introduce our guest. And actually, I did not let her know ahead of time that I'm actually going to pull her on screen when I read her bio. So I see her in the background. She's like, Jen, what are you doing? So I'm going to pull her up, and I have to geek out about her really quick. This is Angela Cusimbing. You know what? We practiced this, guys. We practiced this for like 30 seconds before I came on, and I just butchered it. I'm so sorry, Angela. But she is the CEO and event strategist for Angela Grace Events, where every day is a reason to celebrate. She's passionate about helping guide women entrepreneurs and taking their business to the next level with the planning and promotion of their own live events. With over 17 years of experience in marketing, strategic communications, and events, Angela is obsessed with developing unique programs that bring her clients' visions to life. Whether it's gathering the right speakers, creating effective processes, or selecting sponsors that make sense, Angela is dedicated to discovering creative solutions to ensure a successful, memorable, and profitable event for everyone involved. Bringing people together to connect on a deeper level and inspiring level is at the heart of what she does. And as a self-proclaimed advocate for lifelong learning, Angela makes time to share her experiences with events to the community wherever she is able to. So with that said, welcome to the show. Angela. You know what? I have party hats for my daughter. I should have done that. We should have done like a huge exclusion or something. Yes, I love that. So Angela, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show. We've got a great group of people here. We've got Trisha from across the pond. Trisha, I'm so glad you're here. Let us know how your week was. And she got her vaccine yesterday and she's feeling positive. That is amazing. Is that one vaccine or do you have to have two, Trisha? Because I know some of them are different. She can't wait to travel and see you all in person. Trisha, we can't wait to see you. And Angela's going to plan an event so we can make that happen. I'm putting that on Angela right now. Megan Powers, how are you? Yes, she said she used to work with you. Love that she's your guest. Oh my gosh. And Megan, both of you, I can only imagine if you were both in the same place, like working in the same area, like I can only imagine the magic that you created. So I love that. We've got Reger in here this week as well. He said, my week was great. Every day is Friday for me. Yes, just as Angela said, every day is a day to celebrate. That's her theme. Every day is Friday. And I love that. And if every day doesn't feel like Friday, we need to work through that a little bit. And he gets to do what he loves. So Reger, for anyone who doesn't know, will you share a little bit more about what you do on an everyday basis? And with that said, I want to ask my first question to Angela, and please As always, this is a two-way conversation. So we want you to ask questions. Angela is brilliant. She's amazing. And she helps businesses plan and create these amazing experiences that spark emotion and are so memorable that people talk about it all over their news feeds and social media channels. And she's absolutely brilliant. So if you have a question, if you're thinking about putting on a virtual event or maybe an in-person event once things get better wherever you live, ask those questions here. There are no silly questions. I literally had to hold myself back from asking her a million questions before the show because they're the exact questions that I want to ask her live. So yes, please let us know. But Angela, tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got to where you are today, becoming an entrepreneur, owning your own business and all of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is actually such a fun story. So I have not always been working in this space with small businesses and as an entrepreneur. I actually started out, oh my goodness, I always knew I wanted to be in business. I just didn't know what. And that is until I watched The Wedding Planner.
I love that.
J-Lo has been subconsciously one of my my mentors. So I initially wanted to be a dancer, right? And so she's a fly girl, right? And then she's in the show or the movie, The Wedding Planner. And when I saw the movie, I was sitting there, I was going to school for business admin and marketing. And my husband and I, well, at the time was my boyfriend, we were watching this movie and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. Because back in the days when I thought of events, I thought of hotel catering and just I didn't really see all the things that it is today. So I started out as a wedding planner. So the first 5 years of my career, I got down and dirty, learned so much. It was a lot of fun. And I learned a lot. And at some point I had my first child. And I need my weekends back. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And so I thought I was going to kind of get out of the event space. But then I became a blogger. So at the time I was blogging a lot. I enjoyed writing. And then I had met someone on Twitter, actually, and we got together, we partnered up. We started hosting events for moms. And the events were called San Diego Moms Night Out. And we would have these really fun events where we would just, moms would pay a ticket to go and just have fun. And I loved it because people would say, oh my gosh, I haven't gone out since my kid was born and he's 5 years old. I was like, oh my gosh. And so looking back at those things, I'm like, this is why I host these events or why I feel events are so important. It's because there's that celebration, there's that purpose, there's a reason. And so, long story short, with that, I guess, leg of where I was hosting or planning events, I had another child. Things, kind of shifted for me again. And I was like, am I really going to continue doing this? What do I want to do? And then one of the people that I'd met during that time running the mom events, we worked with a lot with PR companies. We did a lot of collaborations with local restaurants and hotels and stuff like that. And so I got a lot of experience on the business side of things and working in sponsorships and stuff like that. And so, fast forward after my second child, I got this email from a friend and they were like, I have this colleague who is in Ohio. They're coming down for, I think it was Social Media Marketing World, and they wanted to host a quick offsite event. And it was happening in 2 weeks. And I was like, do I want to do it? Can I do it? And I did it. 2 weeks. And I was like, you know what? There's no question about this. This is my passion. This is what I want to do. And so now my heart is really in supporting, entrepreneurs and helping them not only grow their business and their community by leveraging the power of virtual events and in-person events, obviously, but also just really helping to lead a movement, right? Or how can I get deeper and how can we use events to really share our story and create meaningful connections? And that's how I landed here today.
Oh my gosh, I so love your story. So that is my next question for everyone in the audience. What movie has inspired you in a way to change your life, to trigger you to want to do, something for your career? Like Twister is my movie. So I'm sure you love watching The Wedding Planner when you're just like, you know what? I haven't watched it in a while. I want to relax. Twister is my movie, but I want to know what movie has inspired you. We've got Juan Santiago in the house. Juan, how are you doing? How was your week? Happy March. Reger, I love Reger. So I asked him this, and this is fantastic. He said he's a software engineer. He's brilliant, guys, by day, and he's a content creator by night, side hustler by night, developing software and products for others and helping to coach others on social media. Made possible thanks to mentoring, coaching from Roberto Blake and Daryl Eves. So I love that. So Reger, please let people know, like put a link where people can contact you if they would like to, get some coaching help from you. We've got Christelle in the house. She said, hi, Angela Events. So great to see you here. And Christelle, I'm so glad that you're here joining us. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If you have a question, please let us know. We also have Deb Mitchell, our community manager, in the house as well. So much love, so much happiness. And you know what? I think, Angela, everyone is feeling excited with the fact that people are getting vaccines. Numbers are, for the most part, are going down. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We soon will be able to see each other in person at different events and actually hug each other. And Mike Alton said you're awesome too. Yes, I know. We were just talking about you, Mike Alton.
Yeah.
I know, it's like the devil, like, he heard us. All good things, all amazing things, by the way. So Angela, before we talk about events though, because I have so many questions about planning virtual in-person events and how to wow and make yours stand out. But what are some quick tips that you've learned from starting your business that you're like, oh, I wish I should have done this way? Like top 3 tips. If someone right now is wanting to start a business, a side hustle, what should they do?
Ooh, okay. First thing that comes to mind is hire a coach. I definitely found, and whatever it is, invest in yourself, whether it's hiring a coach or going to take a program and learning about something a little bit more. That has definitely supported me in so many different ways. I think the more we invest in ourselves, the more we begin to believe in ourselves, and the more we get that support from an outside person, right? Kind of giving us guidance and not necessarily just telling us what to do, but asking the right questions and helping us pull the answers out for ourselves. I've gone through so much. And, I've had probably about 5 coaches for 5 different things, right? Sales, just general business, motherhood. And it's helped so much to really just understand how I work and what things maybe trigger me to stop me in my tracks and maybe, hinder me from moving forward. And then, so number 1 would just be invest in yourself. Number 2 is just go for it, right? I feel like we think about things over and over to the point where it's like analysis paralysis, right? So sometimes we just need to experiment. And I will say for me, 2020 was a big experiment, just trying different things, not worrying about the format or what people are going to think and, how is it going to turn out, really just detaching yourself from the result and just going for it. So number 1, invest in yourself. Number 2, experiment and just try new things. And then number 3 is just don't be afraid to be silly. Don't be afraid to look silly. I will say one of the big turning points for me in just and moving forward with this, later part of my business was, it was something so simple as, my husband and I went to a Broadway show and we watched Rent, one of my favorite Broadway plays. And we went to, if you're from San Diego and you know about Extraordinary Desserts, give me some love because we just love eating there. And so we were there just kind of, post Broadway show. And then the cast was sitting at a table really close to us. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was kind of getting all giddy and fangirling. And I was like, this is so embarrassing, but I want to just walk up to them and say, you know what, you guys did an amazing job. Thank you for what you do. And at the moment, I kind of felt like it was super silly and a little bit embarrassing. I was like, why should I do this? And when I did, I felt so like, why shouldn't I tell people that they're amazing, right? Why shouldn't I go up to people and tell them that they've inspired me? So I think really just being, not just the act of being silly or like falling on your face or being just not worrying about what other people are going to think, right? I think that is what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, invest in yourself, experiment, and don't worry what people are going to say, because everyone's going to have an opinion. At the end of the day, it's you, right? It's your life. It's your journey.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. You're speaking my love language when you're just like, why not tell people that they're awesome and they're doing great things? So, Angela, like, yes, yes, and yes. I love that. Like, just like you, my heart would start racing and, like getting a little faster. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, should I? But I so love that you did. I love that so much. And I want to know for everyone, in case you missed it, The Wedding Planner is one of the movies that inspired Angela really to start doing what she's doing. So let us know what movie has really motivated or inspired you. Reger says, yes, coaching is huge, but you have to follow through with their exercises. So true in their systematic program. Otherwise, you're just paying money for no growth. Take action. I think taking action is such a great tip, Reger, because even after going to Social Media Marketing Worlds or other events and virtual events like the one that we just had, but you know what? Guess what? You can still actually access that, which I will tell you about more at the end. But we just had our Social Pulse Summit Instagram edition last week, and we have 30 plus sessions on demand, and you have them for about another 3 weeks or so. But the thing is, if you don't put into action what you've learned, then you've basically wasted your time, right? So you've got to actually do that. And I love that. Such great tips, Angela, too, with the coaching, because I think that's one of the things where, having someone to be accountable to, right?
Yes, that's important. Accountability.
Yes, I love that. Like, having a workout buddy. I mean, you need that accountability. Why didn't you do this? You can always make the time for things that you really want to do. So good. And Christelle said coaching. Yes, everyone is saying yes to coaching. I love that.
Right. And to Reger's, to Reger's comment. Yes, it's like, what do they say? You get what you put into it. You get out what you put into it. So if you don't do the work, you just kind of blame it on the coach. It's like, it's not the coach's fault. It's you got to take the responsibility and take the action.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I could not agree more, Angela. Gosh, I love that so much. So speaking of taking action, let's throw it back to a year ago. You host and run events and help people with events. And at this time last year, events were dropping, by the day, hundreds of events were being canceled. People weren't sure what was going on. What were you feeling, and how were you able to stay afloat? And what were your strategies of transition during the past year? Because I know for many people, especially those that were had their businesses severely impacted by what was happening, some of them have still thrived, but you had to be smart, clever, and take action and not give up. So what was your best strategy for doing that?
Wow. Okay.
There was a lot, Angela. You have the floor. You can talk about anything.
I would say my first initial strategy was creation over consumption. And I will say this Sean Cannell, I think, was talking about this a lot before the pandemic, and it just kind of stuck in my mind. And so I honestly will say I was not keeping up on I really didn't think it was going to be what it is, right? Mm-hmm. And so until one of my clients was like, we might have to cancel this event. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, no. So I dug in and I was like researching. I'm like, okay, how can I support my clients in a way that they don't have to cancel their event, but they just shift, or, the word of 2020 was pivot, right? How can we still support the community who is really excited about attending the event in person, but now we can't? How can we just transition to creating an awesome virtual event, right? And so for some, it took a lot of convincing. For some, it was just like, okay, let's do it, right? For me personally, in my business, I really wanted to help ease the craziness, I guess, for my community, that everything was just kind of coming all at once and saying everything's shutting down. We're here in California, we really couldn't do anything. We were under quarantine. And so my whole thought process was, how can I support my community? And for people who are wanting to host events, or who have an event kind of in the pipeline already, what can I do to help them? And so easiest thing for me was content. So I started creating YouTube videos. I started writing blog posts. I started, repurposing that same content to Instagram and Facebook and sharing it in my emails and just saying, hey, you know what, it's going to be okay. And here's how. Actually, one of my blog posts at the beginning of that time was, how to manage your events during a crisis. And it's just really about like, okay, this is where we are, this is what we have, and how can we come together to provide a solution or to come up with a solution that's not going to take away from this experience, but it's going to move us forward. So creating content was really one of my big strategies, just giving people, adding value in that way. Does that make sense?
It does. It so makes sense, because one of the biggest things, and we've talked about this a lot before, is that you want to add value, bring value to someone, teach people things, and people will keep coming back, right? Because they're going to trust you and realize that you're not trying to sell, you're trying to teach them something and even grow community. And I love you, Angela, because you're all about helping people. And I think the businesses that succeeded last year were the ones that took a step back and they're like, how can I help the community? How can I help people because their needs have changed? And how can I solve a problem right now with what's going on? And you were able to do that in a really positive way. I love that so much. And I would love to know how many events you actually did last year, and maybe what was the most unique event or like creative one that you're just like, wow, like people were just like, this is so amazing. Even though like we can't be in person, this virtual event was awesome.
Yeah, so I did a few different like varieties of events. So Social Media Day, San Diego, which is one of them, which is how I met you and gotten connected with you, was one of the ones that we were able to quickly shift, right? That's one of my favorite events over, that I get to work on. I also worked on some workshops. I created some of my own. So, I want to say at least we did maybe about 15 to 20 different types of events, right? We did a virtual summit. And one of my clients, she's Fabpreneur Fest. She actually was supposed to have an event in September. She didn't cancel the event. She pushed it out to a later date and then still had a smaller version of that event, right? Because we're like, we're all thinking about how can we keep this momentum and keep people happy and continue to just build on our community while still trying to figure out what we need to do as a business owner, right? So I will say, like, I'm just going to talk about Social Media Day San Diego because I know a lot of people here are fans of that particular event. It originally is a 1-day track, and it's usually held on the beach. So for those of you who are familiar with it, we've had it at the Bahia for several years, and I love working with Tyler. Casual Fridays puts this on, and I'm so glad that I'm able to support him in this event. But what happened? So we transitioned to, instead of a 1-day event, it became a 3-day virtual event, and let me tell you, it was a lot of work. And you know what? I think at the end of the day, people were happy. I think and there were just simple things. I think number one, the event still went on, right? So I'm very proud of all of my clients and anyone who still hosted an event, even though it wasn't in person, that they still did it virtually. Because what people were craving at that time was connection to people. Like, we lost so much that just moving forward with the virtual touch, if you will, was so important, right? If there was ever a time where we needed community and craved that connection, it was 2020. And so with this 3-day virtual event, we were still able to have more speakers, right? We still had our sponsors. Agora Pulse actually was one of the sponsors. And, we were still able to bring the same vibe, if you will, to the virtual experience. I will say, things aren't perfect. Things kind of just, it happened so quickly, right? And, we learned so much. I will say that the fact that we did networking, like a lot of speed networking, really helped because people wanted to connect with more people. And I think the fact that we were virtual, we were able to connect with more people that we wouldn't in a physical setting, because usually when you attend these events, you're kind of gravitating to your own group. With Zoom, we can kind of just, put you in a room and you don't have a choice, right? You're kind of like a little bit forced to meet new people, right? And yeah, Megan, oh my gosh, yeah, Megan was there and I had so much fun connecting with her. And you get to talk to people that you really don't talk to. You get more contact with the speakers, which is a big plus for, attendees, because a lot of times when speakers come and speak at events, they will either leave because they've got something going on, but because we're able to be at home and sit in front of our computers and connect virtually, like they don't have to go anywhere, right? I mean,
I know it's so true. And I forget, Angela, was it improv? One of the most coolest things that out of any virtual event I saw, it was the first to pivot. And I absolutely loved it because Tyler's event set the stage for what every virtual event needed to be. And he was like the first one. Everyone was raving about it. But tell us a little bit more, Angela.
Yes. So definitely. So I will say, breaks are very important, especially online. And the improv was one of my favorite things. That was actually one of my bucket list items, and I actually got to participate in that. And so that was really fun. It's something it's different. It's taking you out of your comfort zone. If you were going to do it in person or virtual, it works the same virtually, right?
Yes.
So if you guys know, it's that yes and, right? We got to choose, who was going to be a part of this segment or, the improv piece. And we just kind of got to try new things, again, be silly and go with the motions. And it was just,
it was amazing. So it was amazing. And I just have to say, and I think we've got Brian in the house saying trust for the wind, which is so true. And I believe Brian was a part of it. Yeah. I can't quite remember, but there's so much stuff, and I love all the great comments. And I'm going to follow up on some of them because we've got some of the movies that I was asking about as well. But the thing is, so improv is a great way to be creative on the fly. And I love improv because it helps build confidence. And I actually practiced with the improv team in college. I've always loved improv, like whose line is it anyway? Because you're thrown in a situation and you actually just have to like come up with it on the fly. Yeah. And it teaches you different things. And so what Tyler did, everyone's like, whoa, they're like, we need to replicate exactly what he did. So I think what you guys, you and your team and Tyler and everyone did made it such a memorable event because we all, just like Megan said, like we all remembered that. And it was so awesome. And we absolutely loved it. So Angela, thanks for breaking that down. And we're going to go back to the movies. We've got, really quick. We've got Apollo 13, square peg in a round hole scene where the engineers had to devise a solution on ground for the crew in space. I love that scene too, actually, Reger. I think that's one of the most amazing ones. He also said creating content changed his life when he decided to press record or press the damn button, as Brian says, in December 2015. He grew more as a human in the last 5 years as a result of this journey than I did in the prior 45. Wow. That is very powerful right there. Creating content changed his life. Just, 1,000 high fives right there. Reger, thanks for sharing that with us because that is truly powerful. I think people are just so scared to just do it and just do it. Just create what you want to do. Create the life you want. Make it just like Reger said, that every day feels like Friday, and that is exciting. And Teresa, I love this movie too. Teresa said the movie that impacted her, as crazy it sounds, is Catch Me If You Can. I loved how he was so fearless in recreating himself. I switched gears on my career and opened my own business from home before working from home was the norm, so I could homeschool my kids. I love my life. Teresa, the fact that you I love this so much. People, I want to give more shout outs. So if there's a movie or something that you did to change your life, what caused you to push the button and just do it and pivot? I want to know because Teresa, I'm so excited for you. And I love Catch Me If You Can. I think it's so brilliant just for the fact that what he did was with confidence, right? And everybody believed him. And you're just like, oh my gosh. But it kind of makes you realize, like, I can be confident. I need to be confident in what I know, which is so powerful. So I love that. Speed networking is fun. Deb Mitchell said as well. So Angela, like, I can't believe we've been already talking for 30 minutes and I've gotten through like 3 or 4 questions, but this conversation is so rich and I so love it. So my next.
Sorry, can I share one more? Because I this one might surprise you guys.
Yeah.
The last event that I did, we did a burlesque class.
What? Oh my God.
All women. But it was very empowering.
I love that. Oh my God. I love that.
Think outside the box, guys.
Yes, thinking outside the box. Oh my God. That is so amazing, Angela. I love that. And so I'm taking a step back for maybe businesses and people that are thinking of having like a half-day virtual event or maybe like a 3-day or, an in-person event. What do you need to do before you actually like think about even creating an event? Research and all that. What are the main steps you need to think about first?
Yeah. This is such a great question. So I have a process, right? And the first thing that I will walk my clients through, or even if I'm hosting an event, it's what is your purpose? Everything has to start with a purpose. When we start a business or when we start a project, it's what's your why, right? Why are you hosting this event? Why is it important? Almost like I heard throughout the year too, like, this is another meeting. Could it just be an email, right? How else can I deliver? Is an event going to be the best way to deliver this information, to inspire, action? Why, right? So I think answering those questions and getting really clear about what your purpose is for your event is going to be really important as you go and plan, from start to finish, and even after, what's your call to action. So having the purpose is really the North Star. And every time you have a question or you come up to a roadblock, you just go back to that purpose and you're like, okay, I can make a decision really quick because this is what I want to do. And everything has to align, moving forward. And so having that purpose and then just planning things out. What are some of the activities that you want to have? Who else do you want to be a part of this event, right? And then that goes into the people, right? Who are my attendees? What do they want right now? What do they need? How can I support them the best way that I can? How can this event support them in the best way possible right now? And then aside from just your attendees, you also want to think about, okay, what other speakers, who are some people who I can invite to speak at this event, who can really add value, or who has a really interesting perspective on this topic, and they can really bring value to the event. And then your sponsors, right? Not all events are going to have these different types of elements, but thinking about, what could be possible is really important at the very beginning. Yeah.
Those are great tips. No, those are such great tips because I think people think about an event, but you really have to, it's just like having a strategy, knowing your goals, when it comes to anything in life, but, especially social media marketing, you can't just create content to create content. It has to be for a goal, reaching toward a goal. And what is that goal? And you have to understand how you're going to measure success as well. So Angela, those are such great tips. And so once you figured out a plan, your purpose, your why, the audience you're trying to reach, you figured out, potential sponsors and what they can help you with. What are the best ways to promote an event, and how much time first of all, how much time do you need to really plan an actual event? I know many events, it's like a year or so, some of the big conferences, but then when it comes to promotion, what are your best strategies for promotion to actually get people to sign up and just do it?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like there's not really a one size fits all, but like, this is my theory and my strategy. So definitely when you're planning, right? Depending on how many people and how large this event is, it could be anywhere from 6 to 12 months, right? For virtual events, I really think that 3 months is a good lead time, right? As far as promoting your event, it's I want to say 3 weeks before. So 3 weeks before gives you some time, because especially right now, and I want to just put things into perspective right now, because we're getting invited to so many things, everything's online. promoting too soon, people will forget about it, or they'll say that they're interested, and if you're not sending them regular emails about what's happening, they'll just won't attend, or they'll forget to register all in all. And for free events, they'll register and then just forget about it. The great thing there is that at least you have their email. And when you promote a little bit, you kind of have these different tiers, right? So I think when you promote a little bit closer to the end, then you get people who are signing. They're going to just sign up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really about the timing and then what you're sharing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does make sense. Now, have you found a social channel that converts people or gets people to register or sign up more so than another social channel, or a type of ad that gets people to really sign up?
So one of the things that I like to tell people is, not necessarily where your audience is, right? So my audience might be on Instagram, your audience might be more on Facebook or LinkedIn. So it's really, again, going back to understanding where your audience lives and where they hang out, and focusing your efforts there. The other thing is, I always like to tell people, focus on building a community and not an attendee list, because when you begin to focus on more of that community building, you have a bigger pool of people to invite to your event, right? And you guys do such a great job with Agora Pulse and social, having a great community to reach out to. I mean, you guys just did a really awesome summit, and that's still going, right?
Yeah.
And so because you have this large community, you're able to get more people to come to your events, right? And so I would say the answer is really, where's your audience at? Do you have an active Facebook group? Do you have an email list that you can send an invitation to? Ads are great because you can really target and retarget. So it really it's going to depend on what your goals are and where your audience is.
And I love that. And that's so true. And also, it's just testing. If you give yourself enough leeway, you could test a couple of different ads or different posts, like, 3 weeks prior, or, months out, depending on when you're actually going to promote. And if one is doing better than another, then hone in on that, right? And focus in on that. I think, the true thing when it comes to social media is we're always testing, right? We're always trying to figure it out, and each event is different, and each audience is different. So, it's kind of, how it happens, and the best strategy to go about it. And I love that, Angela, so much. And if anybody has any tips for promotion of an event or anything else, or strategy, please let us know. You can share with us in the comments as well. We love to learn from you. We're all learning from each other. Now, so Angela, so the event is here, right? It's the first day of the event, or it's a one-day event, half-day event. What are some of your biggest, best approaches for making sure it's engaging, it's exciting, people are getting what they need, they're not lost, they're not confused, and people are really wowed by the event?
Oh, wow. For engaging. Okay, so I'm going to take it back a step really quick, because I know I think I shared this with you at some point, but there's this really easy framework that I created, because I really believe that everything should be simple. If it's too hard, why are we doing it? And so it's the acronym for DREAM, right? So D is do your research, and that's going and figuring out, again, where your audience is, what do they need, maybe even talking to past clients or looking at your testimonials and figuring out like what worked for them and what didn't. And R is repurpose your content. So when you are creating your landing page, or you're creating your sales page or your invitation, repurpose that stuff, right? Repurpose some of the information that you have there, because you're going to be talking about the event. You're going to be talking about the benefits and why people should attend. So take some of that and just kind of sprinkle it on your different platforms. A is assess what's working and what's not. Oh, I'm sorry, E. I'm spelling DREAM wrong. DRE is engage with your audience. So, and this could be before, during, and after. It's so important to connect and engage on all of those different fronts, right? Because when you're engaging before your event, you're encouraging them to attend, you're encouraging them and letting them know why they should attend the event. When you're at the event, you want to think of what activities, what type of content is going to be really engaging. You know, there's polls. You can launch polls and ask people, you know, what are some of the things, you know, like you're asking right now, just asking questions. Like, it's as simple as asking a question. People want to share their input. People want to share their story. So give them the opportunity to be a part of the event in that way, right? So using the poll features or asking quick questions, asking them to pick something up. So like maybe they have you know that they have a coffee cup or something, and saying, hey, you know what, let's pick up our coffee cups and do a quick toast together, and, you know, to set things right. You know, everybody does it at the same time. You feel connected, and, you know, cheers. Yeah, helping people just be connected. And then also even setting them up for success ahead of time. So whether you're sending something physical in the mail for a virtual event, or like it could be something simple as like one of these things, right? Or a notebook or a journal or a workbook or something that's going to really help them during the event. Having them touch and feel certain items is going to help them feel connected as well. And then engaging after, you don't want to just have your event and just be like, okay, that's it, bye, and then fall off the planet and have them not hear from you for a while. You want to keep nurturing them. You want to keep in touch with them, and you want to stay connected and let them know how else you can support them, whether you have a call to action, or whether you want them to purchase something, or you want to send them a survey, you want to get their feedback, you know, whatever it is, whatever, again, going back to your goals and your purpose is for connecting with them, right? So that's E. A is assess what's working and what's not, right? So like we talked about testing and experimenting with social media posts, with ads, you know, just kind of look at it and see, okay, this is where we're getting the most traction. You know, we're spending a lot of time on, you know, this, but it's not working. Let's just kind of shift most of our efforts over here, right? And then M is move on and keep showing up. That for me is one of the most important things. It's just that consistent follow up and follow through. No matter what happens, just keep showing up. Sometimes that can be really challenging. Or sometimes, you know, people think that they're overstepping or they're over promoting, but chances are people haven't heard about there's some people who haven't heard about your event. Somebody on Facebook might not see it on Instagram, you know, like because we have multiple ways of connecting, we've got to see it a couple more times. I think before social media, it was like, what, 7 touches? I don't even know how much it is now, like 13, 14. But yeah, so I think engaging, going back to what you were asking, is really just all about connecting with the audience and your guests, you know, making those meaningful connections and really thinking ahead of time, you know, how am I going to create this experience for them in a way that's going to either cause a transformation or help them meet people that would benefit them, or, you know, just have a really good experience.
And I love that. I think as humans, we crave connection, right? We want to feel like we're a part of something, we're together. And that's one of the biggest reasons why the pandemic has been so hard, especially for mental health and for many people, because you've been so isolated. We haven't been able to get together and go to events, even with friends and family. So I love that. And I love the idea of like sending like a pen and a notepad, even something small ahead of time to attendees for them to get excited and be like, oh my gosh, they're actually physically holding it in their hand if it's a virtual event. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. And they use that same notebook to write notes during the event. So all that is so great. And just to reiterate what you said, because I was writing it down while you were going. So it's her dream acronym. So it's D, do your research. And I'll pop it up. D, do your research. We've got R, repurpose your content, which is so important. We've got E, engage with your audience. Make it exciting. Have some fun. Be silly, like you said before. I mean, we're all going through this life and we want to enjoy it and have fun. If you're not doing that, you got to figure something else out. A, assess what's working and what's not working. And last but not least, and this is actually going to be my next question, but you basically answered it, move on and keep showing up. Consistency. And so, what I was going to ask you is, what tips do you give your clients after the event, kind of strategy to make sure that, the new business, the new people that came to their virtual event or in-person event, they can maybe, transform them into super fans or clients, or they'll come to future events? What are some of your top 3 tips for that, even though we kind of just walked through it?
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I think for me, you definitely want to get everyone's feedback. So, and sometimes you got to incentivize it, right? So, I think Tyler's done a great job of doing this too, of saying, hey, we want your feedback. Please fill out this survey, and whoever fills out the survey will do a drawing, and you'll get a ticket to the next event, or something that's exciting, right? I think for the most part, some people are really excited about giving their feedback. But yeah, and then definitely just have a nurture sequence right after. I like to do recaps. So whether it's a video that you put on YouTube, or you do a recap, with your team on something like this, like a live stream, or you do a blog post, whatever it is, I would just create every reason to bring them back to that experience. So remember when we did improv, or remember when we did that burlesque dance, or even asking questions, taking the testimonials too. So when you're getting the surveys or you're getting testimonials, embed those into, your emails, or post them on social media and say, here's why these people loved attending the event. So they're not just hearing it from you, they're hearing it from your attendees, and they're saying that from other people that look like them, or, so maybe there's an event that you wanted to go to, but maybe you weren't sure, you missed the boat, or whatever, and you see somebody that give a testimonial about that event. Chances are they're going to either pick up the phone and say, hey, or text, send them a message and say, hey, I saw your testimonial, do you think I should attend this event? You kind of you're creating that buzz, that continuing continuing that conversation, right? So anything that you can do to bring people back to that experience, or share that experience again with people who didn't attend. So you're almost like you're creating FOMO, right? Like fear of missing out of the next event.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And one of the things that we noticed with our most recent event that we had this past Wednesday, which you can still see the sessions for, you can still sign up for the Social Pulse Summit Instagram edition. I'll provide a thing at the end so you can actually do that. It's free, and it's amazing sessions on everything about Instagram. But we noticed more, for some reason, this time than any other event, that all the Instagram stories, especially in the tweets and the talk about it, our live keynotes, and then our sessions of what was going on, we had so many signups the day of the event that we weren't expecting. Usually it's like you get like a whole rush, like a day or two right before, but we saw a ton the day of the event, which was exciting for us because we're like, wow, we're creating FOMO, like people are talking about it. So I love that. And that's such a great tip. And even Megan Power said too, and this is very smart, because I didn't see this when I was saying that before, Megan, about sending ahead of time, just like Angela did, but it's a great sponsorship opportunity too. So you can talk to your sponsors. Hey, we're going to send like a fun little package to all the attendees before the event. Would you like to be a part of it? So that's fantastic. I love that too. Yeah. And Angela, you're so smart and you're so brilliant. And before the show, we were geeking out about a new book that has kind of really like wowed you and inspired you. And I so want you to share this book with us because we do have an Agora Pulse book club now. Which is really exciting. But can you share with us the name of the book and just why it's like truly motivated you and been like, this is my book?
Oh my gosh. So I've only it's called The Art of Gathering, How We Meet and Why It Matters. And I just have to say thank you, a shout out to my friend Shelly for noticing it and sending it to me. This book came out, I believe, in 2018, but it was re-released last year in April, so during this whole pandemic. And the reason why she shared it with me is because I'm all about helping people celebrate every day, or at least encouraging everyone to celebrate every day, right? And so when I start to, you know, as an entrepreneur or and somebody who works in events, I ask myself all the time, why is it important? Why events, right? What do I love about this? And it's all about celebrating, gathering. And I always go back to this moment where one of my first weddings that I did, I was just standing and I could see everyone just having a good time. And that was one of the things that just lit me up. And so with The Art of Gathering by Priya Parker, she talks about fostering meaningful connections and how it's important. Her whole philosophy really is to, like, let's not focus on the stuff, right? Let's focus on the connections and the conversations. And I don't know, I get so excited. I haven't read the whole book yet, but I've listened to all of her podcast interviews, and she just talks about how we can recreate events to fill a need, right? And it just goes beyond, you know, the teaching or the normal stuff that we do. If you're following, not just inspiring, but how can we create meaningful conversations and connections with the people at the table? And so one of the things that she shared, is she talks about this thing called 15 toasts. And you invite 15 people, you have one theme or one kind of overall like question or something. So maybe we're talking about, you know, what's the best event that you've ever gone to, right? And so at some point, you know, everybody is primed, and let me backtrack. Before the event happens, you kind of let people know, bring your favorite event memory, right? So they know and they have it at the top of their mind, they're going to share it. And then you invite them, you start off with some kind of, you know, maybe a toast or something that everyone can connect and be present with, right? And then at some point during the night, everyone gives a toast to that question that was asked. You know, what was the best event that you've gone to, or whatever theme that you might have. And then the last person has to sing their toast. And so I just thought that was really interesting. I mean, there's so much about it. Like it's almost like those cards too that you get that ask, like, they're like table topics, and you're just asking questions. So instead of focusing so much on like who's going to bring the food and what kind of flowers are we going to have and let's focus in on the conversations and just the possibilities. Like,
I love that. You know, and a lot of people say sometimes the best part of an event is maybe not the content itself, even though it's rich and amazing, which is still powerful, but it's the networking and the connecting and allowing that to happen, making sure there's fun, safe activities and places for people to find that connection and make that, you know, and maybe even smarter to have less sessions so there's more time for that networking, you know, or even speed networking. So I love that so much. And singing your last toast, that's amazing. That's so hilarious. And Megan Powers said she bought that book recently.
yeah.
Deb Mitchell has the link to it on Amazon right there. So Deb, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And we're closing in on an hour, Angela. Like, I feel like I could talk to you forever. Don't worry, we're not going to keep you that long. But I do want to ask you really quick in like a minute, what are your top productivity hacks, tools, things that you use? Is it Slack, Asana? Is there an app that you use to, you know, crop or edit images that's really amazing, or something else? What are some of your biggest hacks? And maybe it's for collecting UGC content at events. Let's actually change that. What are your best tips for collecting UGC content at events?
Ooh,
I
well,
totally, just as I was asking that, I'm like, wait a minute, how can I add a twist to this?
yeah,
But yeah.
if you're collecting UGC content, I mean, for sure, hashtags, right? Like, make sure everybody knows what your event hashtag is. Keep it simple to, you know, keep it one hashtag, right? Because then there's, you know, you're going to have half the people using one and half the people using another. So just keep it really simple, have one event hashtag, and then just, you know, curate from there, right? That makes it super simple. The other thing is, oh my goodness, I would say, for virtual events, and I don't know, maybe this is kind of repetitive, but asking, what we've done too is asking people, like if we sent them a workbook, have them take a picture of themselves doing, doing the work, or if they created some piece of art, take a picture of that and share it, and then tag us, right? So then we have that in our inbox. We've got, we reshare it, and it's super easy, right? And then I would just say, collect those testimonials. Maybe that's not necessarily UGC, but I mean, it's content that you can use, from what people are saying, and share it, repurpose it.
And one of the things that I loved, I'm sorry for cutting you off, Angela, but at Social Media Day San Diego, you had places for people to take pictures with fun, exciting things. So, because there were two lifeguard stations or whatever before we had lunch, or it was a break for lunch, I think, for Social Media Day San Diego, not this last year, but the year before. And it was so fun. Everyone was like, and you had signs and like silly fun things, like just like you said, Angela, making it silly. You did such a good job with that event, making it awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and your good old step and repeat wall is always, fun. Anything that you can create, like you said, with that was actually part of the venue already.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Yeah, they were already there. I mean, it was just we like, what can you add? That's just we just added the signs, right? And so how can you brand? Basically, goes back to branding. Like, how can you create experiences that are branded, that every time somebody takes a picture, your event name or hashtag or colors or whatever it is going to be there, like your name tag. And that's all in-person events. We can talk a lot about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a great tip. And Megan Powers said, during sessions I've taught, I've had us all take a selfie together with screens in the shot. So we used Run the World last week, which is really cool because it has a feature where you can take a group fee. So not a selfie, but a group fee. And what you do is, you smile, and then it compiles everyone together, and everyone gets emailed immediately a photo, which was so cool. So I love that.
And there's the platforms are coming up with so many different, ways to engage. They even have the speed networking in, I think, plugged in there already too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so fun and it's so awesome. So then really quick to my original question before I got sidetracked to that, which I'm glad I did. Angela. Are there any like must-have tools or apps on your phone that help you manage just day-to-day work in your business when it comes to events, or anything that you're just like, I can't live without this app?
Agorapulse.
Thanks, Angela. I wasn't triggering you to say that, but we love you.
No, I don't think you were, but it is like, it's helpful to schedule things out and to see what posts are working and what's not. For productivity, ClickUp is one of my go-tos for project management. It's just, you're able to really kind of lay everything out. I can invite clients and they can look, we could, manipulate things in what we see, and how, tasks are made. And it just kind of gives you a whole picture, like overview of what's going on, who needs to take care of what and all that stuff. And it's great when people have, there's a team of like designers, the client, if there's anyone writing copy, we're able to just kind of like put those things in the right buckets and figure out who's going to do what. And we're all on the same page, and it works out really well.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Canva, I really love Canva because they've kind of added a lot of different features. And so, I mean, I have the Pro now because it's like, there's just so much that you can do. I mean, for social media, you can animate things and you can save them and then just create templates and then easily recreate something and just changing the image and the text.
I love Canva so much for that. Just because you're like, yep, that's right. I went to design school too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a designer. And, as an entrepreneur, you wear so many different hats. So it's like, if you have to do it, you kind of know where to go, right? You know what to do. And so let's see. I mean, I'm just going to say Google Drive and my calendar. Like, it's just, I bought a calendar and I do love writing, but this year I've been putting everything in my phone. and in my calendar digitally. And this, one of the things that I just bought is it's a journal called Start Today by Rachel Hollis. And for me, yeah, that's just kind of helping me look at my bigger picture. So I write down 5 things I'm thankful for. And then there's 10 goals that you write, the same 10 goals every single day. And I mean, I think I'm only on maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but it's like you memorize it and then you're like, God, and then you believe this is going to happen. This is going to happen.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God. I love Rachel Hollis. That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so fantastic. So really quick, before we get to trivia, guys, there's still trivia at the end, which is great.
I forgot about that.
Angela, what is the best advice you never took?
Oh, ever.
I love you, Angela. You can think, you think about that while we do trivia. You guys, I'm going to pull up trivia really quick. Deb has Start Today. Deb, thank you so much for pulling that up. So we're going to get quick to trivia. So this is trivia centered around events. And so the Bizobo blog, I think I'm totally mispronouncing that, had a great study. So it's what percentage of virtual events were free last year from March to December? What percentage of virtual events were free from March to December? Now, keep in mind, with our trivia, with our giveaway, you can get an Agorapulse t-shirt or a mug. It's your choice. If you win, you have to answer both questions correctly. If there's a tiebreaker, we'll work that out on the back end. You need to answer the question with 1-A, B, C, or D, and then 2-A, B, C, or D, so we know which question you're answering. But what percentage of virtual events were free from March to December 2020, according to the Bizzaboo blog's study? Let us know. Share your comments. I want to know. D. Riker says D. Megan says C. You guys are doing good. Let us know if anybody else has a guess. I would love to know that. So yes, what percentage of virtual events were free from March to December 2020? This is a great question. And the thing is, we don't give the answer right now. We wait about 24 to 48 hours, and I'll message the winner just so people that catch the replay, they have a chance to play as well. Now we're going to go to the next one really quick, the second one. Attendees were engaged for what percentage of virtual events in Q3 and Q4 of 2020, according to the same study? So we're talking about the attendees now. What percentage were they engaged in the virtual events in Q3 and Q4? Excited, participating. Was it 23%, 36%, 42%, or 53%? This is a great question. I asked Angela this before she joined in, and she got this one correct. And this one surprised me, actually. I didn't think this was going to be what the answer it was, so I'm not going to say it. But it did surprise me. We've got Kim Hearn in the house. Kim, oh, that's a great guess. Megan says she's going with B as well. So 36. Yeah. So this one surprised me. Angela nailed it. Of course she did. We're not going to tell you the answer though, but let us know what percentage of attendees at virtual events in Q3 and 4 of 2020 were actually engaged. Kim says 36 as well. Those are great guesses. Keep those guesses coming. And Kim, we're so excited to have you in the house. I don't think I've seen you here before, so welcome. And if you want to share a little bit about yourself and your LinkedIn link, please do that below. I would love that. And so I'm going to keep this up for a couple more seconds, and then we're going to hear from Angela about what the best advice is that she never took. We're very curious about that. We want to know. But yes, send your answers in, and we will let the winner know 24 to 38 hours this weekend. But Angela, you're on screen, you're back on. We had someone answer this question and they're like, actually, I've taken all the good advice I've gotten. And I was like, that's amazing. So is there any advice you have, or you're like, man, someone told me this and I really should have listened?
You know what? The thing that comes to mind that just keeps rising up is just ask. And I feel like I have taken this, with even just with this interview, I was like, hey, do you need someone to talk about? I mean, sometimes things are scary and you just do them and you don't know what's going to happen. And you're like, hey, I'm having this great conversation with Jen and it's going great. So I think just ask and just do it. Just try it. for years I was talking about creating a course, and I was like, oh, I'll do it. And no, maybe everything has to be perfect. And then it wasn't until like last year I just launched one. So
It's awesome.
yeah, and it's so crazy. Like sometimes we just don't, we wait too long, or we wait for something to happen. So I would say just ask and don't wait for something to happen to do whatever it is that you want to do. Just do it, go for it. You'll feel so much better that you did. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be there.
And everyone starts somewhere, right? And this time where our normal lives are disrupted is some of the best time opportunity, because when things are going great, people won't change their routine. They're like, no, I love this, I love that. But right now, at this moment, the world's disrupted and people are willing to try different things right now more than ever, probably more than ever in our entire lifetime. So go for it. Just do it. And a quick shout out to Kim. So glad you're here. She said, glad to be here. I manage social media for a wish granting nonprofit, Sunshine Foundation, for chronically ill children. Oh, Kim, that's such a wonderful thing. Thank you so much for sharing your LinkedIn as well. Kim, if you ever need anything from AgoraPulse or us at all, please let us know. We're here to support you. If you have questions, let us know as well. And Angela, we're about to end it. And, I just can't believe it's over an hour, but really quick to everyone, those of you, we are airing this in our community, but if you're watching on our Facebook page, on Twitter Live, LinkedIn, we have an amazing Facebook group. It's called Social Pulse Community. It's absolutely free. It's a place where we share the latest social media news, where you can ask questions. We have our AgoraPulse book club exclusively in there, and so much more. So definitely join. Just go to facebook.com/groups/social pulse community and just have a good time. We're here to support you. I know a lot of people are solopreneurs or they're solo social media managers. There's the one-man band, only person on their team, and you need places and people to bounce ideas off of. So that's a safe place to do it. And if you haven't done so yet, guess what, guys? Our Social Pulse Summit Instagram edition is still going. Yes, it was live on February 24th, but the sessions are still available for another 2.5 weeks. So definitely do that. Just go to summit.agorapulse.com. They were brilliant. The live keynotes were absolutely epic. All the sessions were so granular. We had so much positive feedback from it. People learned so much. You don't have to watch all the sessions. Just sign up, go to summit.agorapulse.com and just take a look around and see if there's a session or two that sparks your fancy. Or if you're an agency or a company, have your whole team register and assign different sessions to everyone, and then act as like a book club. Have meetings afterward where you discuss the biggest learnings from the sessions that you watched. So that's another fun way to do it. With that said, oh my gosh, Angela, you are amazing. Can you please share with everyone where they can find you, follow you, hire you, all those amazing things?
Well, thank you guys for having me. I am so excited that I was able to have some time with you guys. Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Angela Grace Events. And you can just go to my website also. It's angelagraceevents.com. And you can find all the different ways to connect with me there. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, Angela, you are so wonderful. Thank you so much. Big thanks to everyone who joined us. Megan Powers, Kim for the first time. We've got Deb Mitchell, and maybe Kim, you were there before, and you just now started messaging. We had Brian in the house, Christelle, Reger, so many others. Juan Santiago, Mike stopped in really quick. Trisha, thank you so much for joining us as well. I hope you're doing great and amazing. Cheers to everyone. And just like Angela said, there is always something to celebrate every single day. So celebrate every single day. Have a party. Let us know if AgoraPulse can ever help you, because we want to serve you. If you want to have a guest on, just message me and everything else. But with that said, I'm going to end the live. But cheers to everyone, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.